Peace be upon you all. The Asaru community presents once again the true light. As the prophet has said, seek knowledge from the cradle to the grave. This program will give you the answers to all your questions, from the beginning of time until Judgment Day. The hourglass is almost empty, so come and hear the dynamic teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Noble Drew Ali, Marcus Garvey, Clarence 13X, all those Warners sent to raise you, the lost but now found sheep in the wilderness of North America. Come, listen, and question the man of the hour.
شكرا جزيلا. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. نشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الحمد لله الوالي الكريم. وصلى الله على الأنبياء أجمعين والمسيح والمهدي والمجدد لمن مرسلين. أما بعد. Are we not the bearers of witness that nothing would exist if Allah didn't create it? And that He is alone and has no part? And that all gratitude is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the sustainer of all the boundless universes. All gratitude is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the generous eternal friend. And send salutations of Allah on all of His prophets and His apostles, and on the Messiah, the anointed one, and on the Mahdi, the guide, and on the Mujaddid, the reformer, which was all sent from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We send greetings and we send peace throughout the boundless universe to all. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
And now, the true light featuring Sayyid Isa al-Hadi al-Mahdi.
With regard to the rebuttal book that was published recently, I just came in a short while ago, so I was able to listen to the broadcast, today's broadcast on WWRL. With regards to, let me just preface what I'm going to say here first. With regards now, I read the book here, the Ansar called Rebuttal to the Slanderers. Without getting into any particulars, certain questions were raised with regards to the community, and of course Imam Isa addressed them to a certain extent, or to the best of, well, anyway, he addressed them. Some of them, not all of them, in my opinion. But I just wanted to say first that historically I have to agree with the teachings here, and so on and so forth. But some questions were raised with regards to descendancy, and one question in particular with regards to Muslims and sex. Is that the name of the book? Sex Lives of the Muslims. Yeah. And I just wanted to ask with regards to that. In regards to the descendancy thing, where they have the pictures, the descendancy. Anyway, it was alleged in the back by somebody else in the family that the two pictures, that the third Caliphate, is that right? Caliphate? Khalifa, Diyn Amen and Abdul Rahman was the same person.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
On page 125 of the rebuttal book,
Yes.
we start at the top with Muhammad Ahmad al-Mahdi,
Yes.
the great-grandfather. And then we pass down to his son, which is Imam Abdul Rahman al-Mahdi. Then on the next page, which is the 126th page,
Yes.
we're looking at three of his sons. And one of them is still alive today. The one in the upper right-hand corner, who they're saying is, where they made their mistake saying is Abdul Rahman. Abdul Rahman died in 1959. This man here, Ahmed, is still alive today in Sudan. He was here, in fact, a couple of months ago, right in the mosque visiting us.
That's the one that's from 1935 and still living.
That's right. He's still alive right now.
Right.
He's in Sudan. Whereas Imam Abdul Rahman, on the next page, the 25th, he died in the year 1959. Now, to the right of the man on the 26th page is Sayyid Sadiq's father, which is a man you see me with on the preceding page. We're standing there together pointing.
Right, that was the Prime Minister.
That's right. That's his father up there in the upper right-hand corner. Beneath his father is his father's younger brother, which is my father,
Okay.
Imam al-Hadi Abdul Rahman al-Mahdi. You follow?
Yes, I follow you.
Now, what they're saying is that they're saying that we made a mistake and called Imam al-Hadi, my father, and his father, Abdul Rahman, the same person in a magazine many years ago.
Okay.
Now, but the fact remains that in the magazine that they found back then,
Yes.
there was a mistake, but the mistake was not made by me because at the time I was in Sudan in the university. The American brothers and sisters who were Ansarullah put this leaflet out. They put out like 3 pamphlets that had nothing to do with it. One of them was a Hajj pamphlet. One of them was a dietary laws of a Muslim pamphlet. And that booklet, which I mentioned all these in this book.
Yes,
and
you
the
did.
people who put it out are still in the mosque. Ansar, who put that out when I was overseas in the University of Khartoum, are still here and mentioned to people, no, Imam Isa was not here. I immediately called them from Sudan and said, you made a mistake. You put a picture of my grandfather and my father at 2 different ages as if they're the same
Right,
person.
right.
And they had already circulated, so we said, what's the big deal? So they made a mistake. But for him to imply that I don't know what my own father looks like,
Right, that's what he was saying.
which is also immaterial.
Yeah, right, exactly. I was going to say
Yeah.
that not that I saw it as being important or...
Yeah, but
or
when you get to the
anything.
1980s,
What?
when you get after that, and you see me and the Prime Minister sitting together, the point I was trying to make to Bilal Phillips and Faraj Wahaj is that if I was just another American Negro who went to Sudan, explain what I'm doing sitting with the president. And if I was able to manipulate myself up there, why haven't they produced pictures of themselves sitting with the president? How was I able to manipulate myself live in the house of the Mahdi? I'm living inside Umdurman in his house. If I'm not related, what am I doing in there? Why would Sayyid Sadiq come back and forth to the United States to represent us on 5 different occasions? Why would a prime minister, check this out now, a prime minister of a country leave his country, come to the United States, visit the United Nations building, and then come on Bushwick Avenue to meet a man who's a fake? Why would a man who's the president of a country, think about this, leave his country, visit the United Nations, the delegation has to sign in as a diplomat, and then come over here and stay on Bushwick Avenue in the middle of the ghetto with a bunch of Negroes? Why would he do that? I mean, that would be totally suicide, without security, without any, I mean, it would be totally ridiculous. They don't, the Sunni Muslims are so narrow-minded, they're so jealous, the bottom line. There's some of the things they say are so ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? They make some silly mistakes. I mean, you can see over a period of years between 1970 and 1980 something, where me and Sayyid Sadiq al-Mahdi had pitches back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Me going over there, him coming over here. Me going over there, him coming over. He's at my wedding in Sudan, I'm back over here. We know it's such a ridiculous. You know what bothers them? What bothers them is I'm able to assimilate into America, speak like an American, act like an American. I'm brown. That bothers them. They want me to speak like my relatives with a twisted tongue. You follow? They want me to act like a Sudanese when I told them I was raised predominantly in America. I think like an American black man. I'm fortunate that I retained my language and that I retained my identity, my silsila, but I think like an American black man. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that bothers the Sunni Muslims. But that's how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala planned it. That's why he said, I raised up for you one from amongst your own. Has to be somebody like you. No Arab can't come over here and teach you because he doesn't understand what nigger means. Not really. You understand?
Yes, I understand.
He doesn't
I
understand
agree.
what poverty means. He doesn't understand what living in a project means. He doesn't understand what welfare means. He doesn't understand that the black cop will beat you worse than the white cop. And the black meter maid will chase you down quicker than the white meter maid. He doesn't know that. He'll go up to the Negro cop when the white cop and the black cop comes and try to confront him as brother and get beat up. See, they can't deal with that. Allah knows what he's doing. He knows what type of man he raised up in the West here. Get it, follow that? Because the man that preceded me, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, knew what he was doing. And though many men tried to emulate him and tried to badmouth him, he knew what he was doing, which was obvious by the nation of Islam that he built. Not by what men say, not by what Bilal Phillips says, who has no congregation, no responsibilities, no masjid, no schools, no nothing. Not by what Siraj, Wahaj, and Bedford and Fulton says, who can't pay their rent for their masjid. You judge a tree by what? By the fruit it bears. Look at the works of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and you can see that he was a great man, and that he was inspired by somebody or something. You follow what I'm saying?
Without question.
Without question. And the problem with the black people is the same problem we've always had. You know what it's called? The Joneses.
The what?
The Joneses. Keeping up with the Joneses in a dog-eat-dog world. Black people hate this. The moment we see somebody like Johnny Mathis, and a black woman say, Johnny Mathis is a pretty man, he's a faggot. This is how we do it. Eddie Murphy's doing fine now. He's very popular. What's all the black men saying now? Eddie Murphy? He's a faggot. What's her name? What's that girl? She came out, she was doing good. Dionne Warwick's relative.
Oh, Whitney Houston?
Whitney Houston? She's a dyke. We can't help ourselves. We just refuse to let our own people make it.
Be great.
And and that, believe me or not, brother, that has been bred into us by the white man by making Mickey Mouse a black mouse, by making Daffy Duck a black duck, and Elmer Fudd can't talk, but he outwits them every time. And then by having a white man do Amos and Andy's voice. And then by having, you know what I mean? He has undermined our intelligence. This is what Honorable Elijah Muhammad was trying to tell us. He has undermined our intelligence with his technology. And he has us hating ourselves. So what happens when a Sunni Muslim hears about the Ansarullah community, they say, these guys got communities all over the world. There's millions of people dressed in white. They got a flag. Their kids speak Arabic. They read the Quran. They build a mosque from the ground up. Now we're putting out our own products, our cleaning products, like toiletries and soap and toothpaste. We're getting into baby oil and baby powder. And we're moving up the ladder of doing for self, like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says. And some guy over on Bedford Avenue who can't pay his rent, of course he's mad. Because the white man is putting him on television. See, Morton Downey puts Siraj on television and asks him, what is Islam? None of these guys who graduated from any prominent Islamic universities hold no certificate. You follow what I'm saying? They pull them out and say, now you know, and all you brothers in there who have been following the Ansar community for years, know that we have had a drug-free community since the 70s. Ain't no drugs in the Bushwick section. You can move in this section and leave your door open. Because the dope fiends know, walk around Bushwick Avenue, because the Muslims over there don't play. Don't bring that stuff around our kids. We ain't having it. So now, here these guys come up 3 years ago and chase 3 drug addicts off Bedford Avenue, and they're on every major magazine and newspaper in the country. Why? Because the white man wants to make a Siraj Wahad known because they know he doesn't know what he's talking about, and in due time they'll just embarrass him. You follow me? Now what the Arabs do, when they ask the Arabs what they think of Siraj Wahad, they'll say, well, he's a convert. He's an American Negro converted to Islam. You know, they'll write him down. Does he speak Arabic? Well, he doesn't speak fluently. He reads a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So ultimately, then when you ask the Arab, can you understand the Quran if you can't read Arabic? The Arab will say, no. There's no way you can understand the Quran if you can't read classical Arabic. Then he'll say, now, does Imam Siraj Wahad speak and read classical Arabic fluently? Then they'll say, no, which means, hey, he's leading people and he doesn't understand the Quran. You see the tricks they use? That's the game that these devils is using. Anything to stop people like Clarence 13X, the leader of the 5% nation, stop Imam Asa, the leader of the Nubian nation, stop Yahweh ben Yahweh, the leader of the black Israelite Hebrew nation, stop any black leadership. Don't let niggas organize. Don't let them come together as a family and build. Don't let them realize who we are, the devil. This is what must be prevented. And because Imam Asa's program seems to be the most powerful, why? Because I accepted the slander and went into the music world. Why? Because I saw that Marvin Gaye reached more people on one record than every imam in the whole world did giving a sermon on Friday. I saw that LL Cool J, Big Daddy Kane, Dougie Fresh, Third Base, Kwame, Shafi, and on, that these brothers who are rapping, like Public Enemy in them, are rapping messages out to the people. Now I can sit around and play stupid Sunni Muslims and listen to a bunch of stupid Arabs, you understand, who tell me, don't listen to music, don't dance, don't do things that I do naturally as a child of the motherland. And you know what the motherland is, right? Sudan, called Africa by the Greeks, all right? So I'm supposed to listen to these men and cut off my soul. No, Imam Asa didn't think like that. You know what he did? I went out and assimilated myself in the hip-hop world and got to know Africa Bambaataa and got to know Jazzy Jeff and got to know Dougie Fresh and got to know all of these rappers and sat down with them by building a recording studio that he talks about in the book. He doesn't understand the power of building a recording studio. All the rap groups come to record with me. And when they come to record with me, I sit down and find out what they believe. You follow? And what they want to do. And I come to find out these young brothers wanted to go out to do something about drugs, wanted to go out to do something about the condition of their people. I said, well, then go out with the truth. And let me pour this truth on you. And if you can stand against the truth, then call me a fool. Now what happens is, because that, the Ansarullah community, you go out there and look at like album jackets by this rap group, you see our flag on the back of it. You see thanks to Imam Isa on the back of it. You'll see me now involving myself with the Zulu nation under African Mbata. They took their Shahada and became Muslim. And these guys don't have nothing else to do. Listen to me. The money they spent on that book, Ansar Cult in America by Bilal Phillips, they could have spent building their mosque. They could have spent opening a school for their kids. They could have opened a business to support themselves. I heard the Parado out there, I got 10,000 copies of this book sitting in the mosque that we got to sell or give away. They should have took the money that they spent printing them 10,000 books and did something for their community, or for the women there, so half of them would not be living in shelters or on welfare. You understand what I'm saying?
I agree.
Believe me, Imam Isa was not interested in writing a book about the Sunni Muslims. If I wanted to, I would have done it years ago. I was writing books about how blacks are being taught that Jesus was a white hippie who died on the cross for their sins, and keep turning your cheek so the white man can keep slapping us around. That's what I was teaching. I was teaching like, don't let them tell you that Dr. Martin Luther King ain't no good. Don't let them tell you that Elijah Muhammad ain't no good. Don't let them strip the only black leadership you got. I'm not saying that everything that every one of these men taught was right and exact. I'm not Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I can't make that decision. Don't let them turn you against the Honorable Mayor Dinkins. I watched the Sunni Muslims come out in support of some Pakistanian that was running for office in Brownsville, but didn't come out in support of Dinkins, whose children is named Shabazz and Jamal. But the Sunni Muslims didn't come out to this man's aid. They would go out to some Pakistani out of Queens somewhere who's pretending he's black for a day, but they won't come out for their own. And I can't live with that kind of stuff. You follow? And I'm not going to let them tear the Honorable Elijah Muhammad down just because a bunch of books, and let me make this real clear, a bunch of books written by men called hadith, that they say are the stories of the life of the Prophet Muhammad. This is not the Quran. I have never, ever read a hadith in English or Arabic that started off, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. They don't start off in the name of Allah. They don't start off in the name of Rasuluhu, his Prophet Muhammad. They start off in the name of men called friends or companions, Sahaba, or even women like Aisha, who shouldn't have been outside the house in the first place, because the Quran 33:33 tells you a woman's place is in the house. You follow? But these men want to live their whole life based on these traditions and lay aside the laws of Allah. I'm only teaching one thing, and that's why I'm hated. And the one thing I'm trying to teach is, first, that we believe Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahu. That only, that's the most important thing. Allah alone. Then we will deal with his prophet. First, we got to establish tawheed in our heart. We got to learn to love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and give all gratitude, all praise, all thanks, like we say, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. All of it goes to Allah. In Surah Al-Fatiha, in the first verse that they've taken from the fifth part of the Quran and made the first, nowhere in that chapter do we get mention of the Prophet Muhammad. Nowhere. It's talking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Do you understand? That's my goal. My goal is to reinstill belief and loyalty and devotion in Allah wahdahu la sharika lahu. Alone, without partners. Then we'll deal with his prophets. And we'll deal with them in order. And that means from Adam down to Nabi Muhammad, Khatim Anbiya, the seal of the prophets. But we'll start understanding Adam and read. And we won't get a thorough story of the prophet Adam in the Quran. It's not there. We have to go to the Torah. And if you open your Quran to the 5th chapter and the 47th verse, the Sunni Muslims maliciously added the word was, kana, which is not even in there. When it says, we sent down this Torah to you, it has the word guidance, and they say was guidance in translation. You follow that?
Yes.
These are things that frighten me, because this shows that the devil is busy, and he's trying to make us not understand the beauty and the boundaries and the gifts of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They're trying to turn us into men worshippers like they turned the Christians in when Jesus left the world and went to the bosom of Allah. They immediately turned him into a god. When Buddha left the world and went to the bosom of Allah, they turned him into a god. You understand? And those Sunni Muslims are trying to do the same thing now. They're trying to send us to hell. We worship who?
Allah.
Allah what? Alone. Who has what? No partners. Then if you want to say, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, wahdahu la sharika lahu, and then if you want to add Muhammad Rasulullah, fine. Once you establish in your mind first and foremost that you worship Allah and Him alone. You understand that?
Yes.
That's step one. But see, they lie. And I made a statement. And the statement is that a lot of men calling themselves Muslims are liars. They are devils pretending to be Muslims. You understand? And they're altering things in the laws of Allah over a period of time, adjusting words. They have us worshiping men instead of Allah, worshiping stones instead of Allah, worshiping tombs, relics, whiskers. They have the whiskers of the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salam in Jerusalem. They have the whiskers in a canister, and Muslims go there and make dua. I was in Egypt, and in Egypt they have a masjid and a shrine to one of the Prophet Muhammad's daughters and one of his wives. And they go there behind this door, and I've been in the masjid myself, and they make dua. They kneel down, they lean on this thing, and they say, they give prayers there. Show me that in the Quran anywhere. Show me where it says we're supposed to do those things. We don't supposed to pray to nothing or no one but whom?
Allah.
And Allah alone. And if any man, me, or anybody else steps in and tries to direct the focus of our prayer from the one creator of the boundless universe in any other direction, then he's acting the part of the devil. I don't care how many degrees he has from what Islamic universities. I don't care how good his Arabic is. I don't care how he dresses, how much perfume he wears, how much kahol he wears, how much sunnah he recites. If that man or that thing tries to make me and you worship anything or any man other than Allah, then that man or that thing is acting the part of shaitan. Do you understand me? My mission, and it's going to be difficult, and I'm going to be hated, but I'm in good company when I'm hated, because they hated all of the men Allah sent. If they like me, I know I'm doing something wrong. You understand?
I agree.
I'm going to be hated. I'm going to be slandered. I'm going to be reviled. People are going to say all manners of evil against me falsely. I expect all that. I accept all that. Wait a minute. Either they're going to get back on the path, the Sirat al-Mustaqim, or they're going to get out of Islam and stop pretending, because they're fabricating a new society that the world is beginning to think we are. And they're judging us by that stupidity that they teach. And I'm not going to teach no stuff like the black stone is, like I said on that tape today, the black stone is black because of no sin.
Yeah,
You ain't feeding that stuff into my son. Right. You ain't feeding to me that the Prophet Muhammad was white. And if I say he's black, then I'm a kufr. Why? Because you white? You're not feeding me that stuff. You're not going to feed me that garbage about going to Mecca and kissing a black stone and praying and rubbing shrines and laying up against brick walls. You're not passing that stuff on to me. I worship Allah, and the East and the West belong to Allah. You understand what I'm saying? And I'm in the western part of the world because it said the light would shine out of the west. Out of the east and unto the west, and so shall the coming of the Son of Man be. And that's exactly what I am, the Son of a Man. I'm not the Messiah. I am not the Mahdi. I am the Son of a Man, a wonderful and a great man. Imam al-Hadi, alayhi salam, a wonderful and a great man, my father. And whether the whole world denies it or not, listen to this. Many Sunni Muslims say Imam Isa is not a part of the Mahdi family. Do I need the Mahdi family to raise my people? Does it sound like with me talking I have to add that one more headache on my life? Wouldn't I be a greater man if I did this and said, I am not Sudanese, I am not tied to any Arab, I was born and raised in America, I'm American Negro, now listen to me teach. Wouldn't I appear greater? To be raised up in America, an American, without any Sudanese ties at all? Why would I pull on a burden of a country, my own, that I love, and of all the gossip and the slander and the accusations that come with me saying I'm a part of a family if I'm not? Why do I need that? For what? Would that impress y'all? Does it impress y'all that I'm part Sudanese? Or does it impress y'all what's in these books?
What's in the books?
And if you took out every reference in these books to Sudan and the Mahdi family, the books would still be the baddest thing out. If you took all of it out, the truth is truth. So I am not saying I'm Sudanese just because I want to pick one of the countries in Africa to identify with. And I don't care if nobody believes my blood. My blood speaks for itself. You follow? So the Sunni Muslims are angry, and they have right to be angry because I'm coming at them. I'm coming at them. You understand? I wouldn't be coming at them if they didn't spend time on me. I was busy breaking crosses and taking off the heads of swine. I was trying to bring Christianity to a reality in the minds of black people in America. That's all I was doing, showing them Jesus was not crucified, who his father was, who his mother was, where he came from. He was not a deity. He's definitely not Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, astaghfirullah. I was bringing that forth. I was not bothering the Sunni Muslims. Here comes some old nappy-head Negro, born in Jamaica, raised in Canada, and never met me in the flesh in his whole life, never talked about this Bilal Philip, never met me, never talked to me, never visited our community or nothing. And he's going to write a whole book about our community. Starts off the book saying I was born in 1935. Starts off the book wrong. I mean, when the Arabs told him, don't write the book unless you got the facts, bruh starts off the book wrong. I said, you want to see some facts? I'll write facts. I'll write a book 3 times as large as your book with 100 times as many facts, if you want facts. And now that I've gotten used to doing this, I enjoy it. So now I'm writing another book. All right. Next book is called 360 Questions to Ask a Sunni Muslim. And they will not be able to answer it. People are saying, you're attacking Islam. No, I'm not. I'm attacking the traditions that has bred itself in Islam and these fake practices that are taking men off the path in this blind faith. If you're going to say you're a Muslim and you say, Amantu billahi wa malaikatihi wa kutubihi wa rusulihi, if you make these declarations, you're not just saying believe. That's why they stuck that word in there, believe. That's not what amana means. Mu'min is not a believer. Mu'minati is not a believer. The word mu'min and mu'minati or mu'minun comes from the word amana.
We will continue with the true light after a brief intermission. Visit the original tents of Kedar, where we have available a vast selection of books, prayer beads, prayer rugs, plaques in Arabic, Quran, and the Old and New Testaments of the Bible in Arabic. Also, we have multiple pamphlets and leaflets on the truth, posters and portraits, which display the prophets as they really were, Nubian. Now available, a full-color portrait of the Last Supper, the real Last Supper, portraying the Messiah Jesus and his disciples as they really appeared, as black men, Nubians. The original tents of Kedar is located at 717 Bushwick Avenue, Brooklyn, New York, 11221. Or call us at 718-452-9329. We will now continue with the true light.
Alif, Mim, Noon. To be faithful, to have faith. And they'll tell a Muslim, you have to have your iman together. You have to have your iman together, your faith, your faith. Then they put a meme on that same word, faith, and call it mu'min, and then change it to believer. I don't believe in nothing. It comes from Allah. I have faith in it. I believe in you. I believe my boss is going to give me my check this week if I work. I believe my car is going to cross the Jersey Turnpike on my way to Philadelphia. But I'm not going to put my faith in it. I'm going to have the engine checked and make sure the gas tank is full. Then I can put a little faith in it. When it comes to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I have faith in Allah. Kama huwa, as he is. I don't need nothing decorating him up. I don't need no colors put around him. I don't need no robes put on him. I don't need no rocks, no buildings, or no flesh. I believe in him, kama huwa, as he is, and his unique qualities. Because the Father. I'm content with that. And that's what I'm here to teach you. That now that Islam is in the West, it's going to be at its best. It's going to be pristine purity. And if they can't deal with it, get out the ring. Go ahead.
Well,
Wait, let me comment on this Sex Life of a Muslim book.
say again?
The Sex Life of a Muslim book that I've written.
Oh,
That's one of their comments. This is not for you. I understand where you're
okay.
coming from. I can feel
All
it.
right.
Believe me, I feel it. I'm talking to people who they question about the sex life of Muslims. They say Imam Isa wrote a book called The Sex Life of a Muslim, and it is disgusting. I just want to ask them how they get their kids. They still teach their kids that a stork flies You can't do that in project first before the kid might get lost. Storks fly over houses. How do the Sunni Muslims make babies? Do they have sex? You understand what I'm saying? Why are they trying to take one of the most prominent things in everybody's life and pretend that it does not exist? And then have children raising them and not telling them about it. The whole Muslim world needs to write books on what Islam says about sex. If you disagree with what I say, then write your own book and prove it wrong. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. Write a book about sex and say this is wrong because look, this is wrong because of look, this is wrong because of... But don't pick up the book and say this is wrong because it's disgusting. Why? Because I'm explicit. The book says for adults only on it. Now, if you give it to your kid, that's your fault. If you see your kid with it and don't take it out of his hand, that's your fault. If you saw your kid with the wrong kind of comic book, you take it out of his hand. This is because I've met too many Muslims in my years. Because when you become an imam of a community, people come to you with their problems. You understand? Most brothers who are not leaders don't know that. And so you think, gosh, I've been hearing this for 20 years, all these different rumors and things. I'm going to write a book as explicit as I possibly can about sex for a Muslim. What he can and what he cannot do. Here's where their problem comes in. They want me to put in the book things that Hadith says and say that Allah says it. And I'm saying, I am not going to do that. Then don't ask me to write it in a book because some guy from Pakistan or Russia or Saudi wrote it in a collection of Hadith and you worship it. I don't believe that. That is up to you to make the decision. The things that Allah does not mention specifically or explicitly in the Quran, I am not taking it upon myself to add to that. He didn't say you can't, so I'm not saying you can't. I'm saying, like he says, go into your wives by any way you wish, because she is a fertile ground for you, was what the Quran says. Allah didn't even drop to the level of dwelling on subjects like that. Those are animalistic attributes. Allah didn't address those filthy, low subjects, as they call them. What do you people think Allah is? He's not dwelling on your sex life. لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. Those words are telling you right there that he does not indulge in any form of sex, and he is not the product of any form of sex, because the root word in there is walid. You understand? He did not father any child, nor was he fathered by anybody. He doesn't deal in those subjects. He speaks to you in general. I gave your wife as a helpmate to you. Your wife is fertile for you to produce. He doesn't get into the intricacy about your sex life. What you do and what you don't do, that's our animal nature. You understand what I'm saying? That's the human being in us that makes us dwell on how much pleasure we need to have and how often we need to have that pleasure. And for them to involve Allah in it is blasphemy. It's ridiculous. It's a book about sex because Muslims, like everybody else, have to know about sex. What's clean, what's unclean, about artifacts that are being used, how dangerous these things can be, about diseases like syphilis and gonorrhea, and now AIDS, and who knows what they'll have next year. They have to know this. And if no Muslims don't write about this, and I've been around a lot of them Pakistanis, I'm going to tell you, they're so soft, you can coat them in marshmallow and sell them. They ain't got no masculine bones in their body at all. Because they've been raised in an all-male society. They wasn't allowed to have girlfriends. I'm not saying you can go have a girlfriend. But don't make girls think it's wrong for seeing men as cute. And don't make little boys think it's wrong for seeing little girls as pretty. If your little boy sees a little girl in the neighborhood, he's a Muslim, he says, Daddy, I think she's pretty. Yeah, she's pretty. Then you explain to him why he doesn't pursue her, why he doesn't try to take her virginity, etc., etc., etc. But you don't just say that's wrong, you don't look at girls, that's a sin, you're going to hell. And then you're wondering why your son is sore. Comes home, he's getting beat up every day. You got to raise your son hard. Make him a man. You understand what I'm saying? If you don't, he's going to be sore. And you're going to feel bad when your son is getting beat up. Because you're going to want to beat him up for getting beat up. We're trying to raise a nation, the Nubian nation. I'm talking to the women in there. Y'all want men or y'all want woe men? What do y'all want? Tell the men what you want. Muhammad didn't tap dance into Mecca. He fought his way back to Mecca. Right. Jesus was turning tables over. He wasn't no punk. Abraham came to get Lot by force. He fought a battle. He wasn't no pushover. And I'm not saying that we have to be revolutionists, and especially not against each other, but we have to be prepared against anybody who comes against us to defend our family and our women. Is that right or is that wrong?
That's correct.
And if they call me crazy for that, then let me wobble in my insanity. Go ahead.
Well, I don't know what to say beyond that, but no, actually, of course, issues like sex and things like that have to be addressed, and I didn't read the book, Sex Life of a Muslim. Anyway, in Bilal's book, okay, when he spoke on the issue of sex, I noticed in the rebuttal you didn't address it. Of
course, I knew that I had a book on the press called Sex Life of a Muslim.
Say again?
I knew I had a book that was in the press at the same time called Sex Life of a Muslim that I had just finished. So the reason why I didn't have to address that subject in this book is that I had just finished a whole book that was getting ready to come out within a couple of days called The Sex Life of a Muslim that addresses each one of the Sunni Muslim subjects that's in Bilal's book already. The reason why I didn't deal with the pictures extensively in this book is because I knew I had another book coming out right after called Our Pictures of Sin. You follow what I'm trying to say? And that they'd be able to go right there because when I had finished writing the stuff that I got on the Sunni Muslim, I could put it in the back of a truck. I had so much stuff. This thing was almost 4,000 pages. I had to throw away stuff and say, I can't use all this stuff here. I had just so much research on Siraj Wahaj and them, I felt like their parents. Well, I said, I'm not going to use it. This stuff, it ain't even fair to do this to these kids. You know what it is, though? When you grab them for straws, and when they came down after 20 years of trying to really get down to slandering Imam Isa, after all the years and all the slander, I've been tolerating it for a long time, when they really got down to trying to write a book, they didn't come up with anything.
Yeah, I agree.
They really couldn't go, and they came up with it. And when you read the book, it's like, come on, look at these people you went to. People who've been out the mosque 15 years ago. Some guy had the audacity to tell them, this tickles me to death, and they believed it. How can you believe that me and a guy took a truckload of the coins to a bank on Utica Avenue? How can somebody, that's how you know the guy who wrote the book don't have no bank account, first of all, and know he's still living in the project. First of all, they won't even count that stuff. They'll tell you, I ain't counting this. Plus, how did me and this guy carry $500,000 worth of coins? So how come the government don't know? It is little things like that people should have just said, this guy here is not writing a book to reveal anything. They're just trying to stop the Ansar Allah community. Yeah. Let me ask y'all people, can they stop us?
No.
What is wrong with them? All we're doing is getting greater and stronger in the name of Allah. Ain't no stopping us.
Well, what about the people that don't really know?
All right. They also, the scripture tells you cannot be responsible for what you don't know. However, the Bible said, what did Jesus say? All eyes shall behold his glory. You got a chance because the Messiah, Jesus, is coming. The stupid Sunni Muslims don't have enough sense to teach this. They don't realize that not teaching that the Messiah is coming, they keep leaving out one very important element, and that element is salvation. Sunni Muslims do a lot of preaching and a lot of doctrine, but they don't never tell nobody what about salvation. What about the saving of our souls for the sins we've committed? And that is done through the Messiah, Jesus. He is your salvation. And that's why Islam even says Jesus was exalted in this world and the hereafter. That's why Islam teaches that the Messiah, Jesus, will come back at the end of the world, because he is the Savior. He is the source of salvation. And them fools won't teach that. Salvation is to come, not here. And Muhammad told us, Inna Nasrullahi Qareeban. Surely the help from Allah is coming. In the 2nd chapter, 214th verse. Inna Nasrullahi Qareeban. When his disciples or his followers turned to him and said, Muhammad, when will the aid come? He said, surely the aid is Qareeban, near. They say nigh because they don't want us to understand what it means. They know black people don't use words like nigh. It says then, إِذَا جَا نَصْرُ اللَّهِ وَالْفَتْحِ Nasrullah, Nasrullah, إِذَا جَا Nasrullah, Ansarullah. What do they call Jesus' followers in the Quran? Nasri, Nasri, Nasrullah. You people are the true followers of the Messiah. You would be real Christians. Not Christian by the Christian Greek word Christos, or the Latin word Christos, or the Greek word. No, but by the word Nasrullah or Ansarullah. And when Allah says, when you see the Nasrullah come, that'll be the victorious opening of the 7 seals. Muslims, Sunni Muslims, are absent of salvation. Ask them, what is their salvation? They have no answer. They read hadith, they read books, they pray, they go to Mecca, they fast, but they don't speak about salvation. Though Rasulullah Muhammad did say that Jesus was coming at the end of the world in all their hadith. But they won't talk about it. And that is the salvation. That's your only hope. Without hope, you can forget it. You ones in this room here who say you're Muslims, you better start acknowledging and start looking for and praying for the return of the Messiah and get away from this rigid, orthodox Sunni Islam that has nothing to do with salvation. There's nothing in that. All it says is pray 5 times a day, go to Mecca, talk to them, say, where's the salvation? Salvation is in the Messiah, Jesus' return. To claim the righteous, who he calls Ansarullah, or Nasrullah, or the Nasr. إِذَا جَاءَ نَصْرُ اللَّهِ وَالْفَتْحُ وَرَأَيْتَ النَّاسَ يَدْخُلُونَ فِي الدِّينِ اللَّهِ أَفْوَاجًا فَسَبِّحْ بِحَمْدِ رَبِّكَ وَاسْتَغْفِرْهُ إِنَّهُ كَانَ تَوَّابًا. He tells you right in that chapter of the Quran, and that's supposed to be the last full chapter revealed to Muhammad. It was after all those other things the Sunnis used. It was the last one, Nasr. And that's when he says, when you see the aiders of Allah, or the Nasrullah, the Nasri coming, they tell you this is a victorious opening. When you see them, and they say they'll be yadkhuluna fi din Allah, not yadkhuluna fi din al-Islam. It doesn't say that. It says yadkhuluna fi din Allahi. Sunni Muslims keep saying this is Deen al-Islam. Deen al-Islam. Say, right, you all are in Deen al-Islam. You all are 1,400 years old. Muhammad says, yadkhuluna fi din Allahi. Then if they tell you that Jesus was before Muhammad, and Muhammad founded Islam, then it would be yadkhuluna fi din al-Islam. Not yadkhuluna fi din Allah. Muhammad brought in Deen al-Islam, the Sharia, the laws of Islam, the correct things. But Isa was in Deen Allah. He was called Ruhu Allah, the soul of Allah. What was Muhammad called in the Quran? Rasulullah, one sent from Allah. Jesus was called Ruhu Allah, the soul of Allah, not one sent from him, a portion of his very essence in present. Right there, Kalim Allah, the word of Allah. Ruhu Qudus, a Holy Spirit. Allah says, we strengthen Jesus with the Ruhu Qudus, with the Holy Spirit. But now you done got so far away from that, you think Islam is a new religion that does not acknowledge the Messiah's return. And you think, well, if I say I believe in the Messiah's return, I'm a Christian. And that's all the devil's work, Sunni Islam, trying to mess you up. Abraham, Jesus said, before Abraham I am. Didn't he? Before Abraham he existed. What was he talking about? He was talking about what Allah called him, Ruhu Allah. His soul existed before Abraham. He was a part of the Elohim, which is translated in Arabic as Allahumma, a part of the original we in creation. And he is your salvation. You better get back on the right path, because I don't know where someone misled you people, but Jesus is your salvation. Ask the Sunni Muslim, where's the salvation in Islam? They ain't got none. They're still 1,400 years ago talking about Deen al-Islam. It's Milla Ibrahim, Deen Allahi. When you see people, yadkhuluna fi Deen Allahi, entering into the Deen Allah, it says. Not when you see people entering into the Deen al-Islam. What's the difference between Deen Allah and Deen al-Islam? Deen al-Islam is prompted by hadith and traditions and customs of men, and Deen Allah is prompted by his holy scriptures. Because Allah speaks, not men interpreters. I know my religion was Deen al-Islam in the time of Muhammad, but Muhammad said, yadkhuluna fi Deen Allah. And I said, if you open your Quran in the 2nd chapter, 20 to 14 verse, it tells you, don't think you're going to get away with anything that the children of Israel didn't get away with. Don't think you're not going to suffer what the children of Israel suffered. You're going to get it all. Then at the end of that statement, they said, well, Muhammad, when is Jesus coming? When is the Nasrullah? When are the Ansars coming? And he said, Inna Nasrullahi Qareeban. Surely, Inna Nasrullahi, the Nasrullah. See that? You ask our pale Arab who the Sunnis worship, what's a Christian in the Quran? They'll say Nasri. He's a Nasri. Say, then, is that related to Nasrullah? No, it doesn't. They say, isn't that the same word? That's like saying, isn't, what do they call it, skim milk and homogenized milk? No. One is skim milk and one is homogenized. Okay, but are they both milk? No. This is sheer stupidity. And they're trying not to have you receive the gift of heaven. They're trying not to have you receive the gift of the glory of salvation through the Messiah, Jesus.
The Bible says it's sure to come.
may say, wow, Imam sounds like a Christian. Well, for all intents and purposes, I am. I'm not a Christian by Christianity as your interpretation of some white guy nailed on a cross for you. But I am in the sense that I believe that the Messiah, Jesus, is going to come to save you, and that we are bringing him in. We are his heralds. We are bringing you up to the par where you are prepared to receive him and receive the grace and the forgiveness that only comes through him. Muhammad never claimed to have the power to forgive anybody. He didn't. He merely said, I came with this Quran because it will clear up all the confusion and all the conjecture that people made up about Jesus and all the other prophets. I made a statement a while back. I want y'all to relate to this. If I make a cake and I don't put flavor in the cake, you with me? I don't put any flavor in this cake at all. Now, the cake is just plain cake. And the white man calls it. What kind of cake you want? I want a plain cake. That means it ain't got no flavor, just plain. Now, if I add chocolate in the cake, then it becomes what? Chocolate cake. If I add marble, and I want to make it chocolate and strawberry, if I put some chocolate and some strawberry, we call it marble cake, because we're confused now. Now, whatever I want you to taste in the cake the most, I put the most of it in the cake. Are you with me? Okay, now. So now, if Jesus is mentioned in the Quran more than any other prophet, and he is, then Allah flavored the Quran more with the Jesus flavor than any other prophet. Huh? Are you with me? So what does he want you to taste when you read the Quran? Jesus or Moses? If he put more stories about Jesus, more names about Jesus, more about the purity of his birth and the miraculous things he did while he was on earth and the powers he was given while he was on earth, the Quran is saturated with more information about Jesus than any other prophet. Mind you now, if Allah is making a cake and he puts more chocolate, he wants you to call it cake. What kind of cake? That's right. Nowhere in the Quran does Muhammad say the Quran is his. Nowhere he says this is my Quran. Nowhere. Muhammad was a prophet sent from Allah bringing us the Quran, that it could clear up all the confusion in the books before and prepare you for that chocolate cake. And the chocolate in the cake of life is Jesus. The prophet most mentioned in the Quran is Jesus. Allah wanted you to recognize Jesus out of all the other prophets in the Quran. Now, if you got a better argument, let me hear it. You follow? But them Sunni Muslims have no salvation. They don't even know what they're doing. They just pray, fast, and sit around and read traditions of men called hadith. They better hurry up and wake up and realize that the world is quickly coming to an end and they have no proclamation for salvation. You can't ask them how they're going to be saved. They don't know. Think about it. Talk to a Sunni. Say, well, where's your salvation at? Well, if I'm good, I'm going to go to heaven. Okay, if you're good. But what about all the sins you already committed? Because I got like a brother named Siraj Wahaj from Machitaqua who stands up and tries to sell this book to Ansar cult. He goes out his way to push this book on us. And right? So all them brothers and sisters sitting over there in Taqwa better get up off the floor and get over here where we say we have to get salvation through the Messiah so that you can be forgiven for making those mistakes. See, they're not asking for salvation for their previous sins. They think after they took their shahada, they're over. How many of y'all took your shahada and then the next couple of days committed another sin? Tell the truth. You know you did. Ain't no sense of sitting there pretending. And if you did that, all the other sins are back. And all the ones you had before, that you got rid of at your shahada, the moment you committed another sin after that, you got all those sins back. Now you got to start doing deeds. Now it's about matching them with good deeds. All the stuff you said, man, I took my shahada, all the stuff I done snatched pockets, beat up old women and did this and did that. Boy, it's all over. And then you went out and did something wrong and it's all back. I'm back to the beginning. That's right. He gave you a chance. But then he says, Jesus is what? He shall be called Jesus because he shall save his people. It said the law came through Moses, but grace, which is a form of ni'mah, which is forgiveness, came through Jesus. Them Sunni Muslims don't realize, especially if there was once an Elijah Muhammad follower, or 5%er, or a Buddhist, or worship any kind of statue, or idol, or saint, they better hurry up and look for some salvation, because without that salvation, they're not going to heaven. And anybody sitting in that mosque listening to them is going to hell, because the leader ain't got salvation. How you going to take you? He's sitting there without instruction. He going to drive you somewhere? I know how to get there. Let me see the map. I don't need a map. Well, let me see the protocol. Well, sit there and tell me before I pull off. I ain't got to tell you. Trust me. Trust you? I trust nobody but who? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I ain't trusting no man. I trust Allah. Don't trust me. Trust Allah and Allah alone. Any man that tells you to trust him, you better really not trust him. You ain't got nobody but you and Allah. That's why when you make salah, you're making it really with you and Allah. That's why you're whispering and you're talking out loud. Part of it for the congregation to know you're there, and the other part between you and Allah. And the most important part, you're saying by yourself, Sami Allah liman hamidah, Rabbana wa lakal hamd. Allah only listens to him. Sami Allah liman hamidah, he who is grateful to him. Rabbana wa lakal hamd. Our sustainer, you are worthy of all grace, all praise, all gratitude. Those are the words you whisper. Sami Allah liman hamidah, Rabbana wa lakal hamd. Those are the things you whisper. That's between you and him. Nobody else. Somebody binding partners with Allah, they're going to hell if they don't have some form of salvation. If you're a Sunni Muslim, you think your salvation was 1,400 years ago, and here you didn't commit a sin after the 1,400 years ago. You didn't commit a sin in 1967. Here you talking about you're going to be saved because what Muhammad did 1,400 years ago. You better clean up your act. And start looking for the Messiah like the Prophet Muhammad predicted that will come and remove the sins from the world and hope that he remove them sins out of your heart for when you were binding partners with Allah. Do y'all understand what I'm saying? If that sounds like Christianity, then I'm a Christian. If you think I'm going to sit around and be what you are, and you don't have no direction, you out your mind. I'm not getting no car and let you drive me somewhere and you don't know where you're going. Now, if that upsets you, I'm sorry I'm upsetting you. But the truth is truth. Want me to water it down so I can feed your ego? Because that's what black people do. You know, they like that, you know. They like you to water things down so you can feed your ego. Don't talk like that, brother. Don't say this way. Don't do that, brother. It says the scripture comes with a sword, a two-edged tongue, just cutting up lies. My job is to come here and cut up lies. I didn't come here to win no popularity contest. I didn't come here to be liked. That's not my job. My job is wherever I see a lie to correct it with the truth, regardless of who it hurts. What does the Prophet Muhammad say about that? Speak the truth, though it is bitter to others. What I might be saying may sound like a bitter pill, but it's the truth, and you know it is. You know what I'm saying is true. You might not like it. You might not like me, but I'm not going to dance with you anyway, so you ain't got to like me. I'm not here for that. My job is to clear up the lies. And I've been doing it for 20 years, and nobody been able to stop us. When you read our doctrine, who can stand against you? You're the only group of people looking for people to ask you questions. Everybody else is trying to avoid questions. The only people out here can answer questions are you. Because you got a book, say, well, wait a minute, I'll be right back. I'm going to find in this book here. Page so just be patient. Page so let me see. Here it is. Or you say, I'll be back, so I'm going to Sunday and act that crazy, man. When I come back Monday, I'll have this answer if you got the patience. We're the only ones that can do that. Why? Because Allah has showered his blessings on us. But don't think every time I talk to you, I'm going to massage your ego and make you feel good, because that's not my job. Sometimes I got to tell you the truth, and it may sound harsh, but it's true. I don't like everything I say either, frankly speaking, but I got to live with it because it's true. And it hits me the way it hits you. Truth is truth regardless of what I like. Sometimes I say things I feel like saying, shut up, because I didn't committed myself to something. My mouth won't even let me not say it. I'll try to control my mouth, and the answer will come out anyway. But that's where Allah plans things. You understand? That's what reformation means. People will have to content with the truth. And we have to reform it, bring it back to pristine purity. We follow Millah Ibrahim. We follow Abraham's religion.
If you have any further questions, call now. Area code 718-452-9329. 718-452-9329. If you would like a taped copy of today's broadcast, contact the original tent of Kedar by calling area code 718-452-9329. 718-452-9329. Come out to the village of the Ansarullah community, where we are raising the 144,000 children of light. Come home to the Tabernacle of the Most High and get your questions answered by visiting the Hall of Knowledge every Sunday afternoon from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. at 548 Hart Street, Brooklyn, New York.